Hey, it's JP with Gym Leads. We help gym owners get more leads, get more booked appointments on their calendar, and do it all without the frustration of having to learn Facebook ads if you don't want to. That being said, I want you to have this tool in your toolbox because it's one of the fastest ways, if not the fastest way, to get more sales and generate more cash for your gym. So you should absolutely know how to do it, and that's what I'm going to go over with you today, how to run Facebook ads for your gym in 2024. All right, so we're going to dive in. If at any point I speak too quickly or you need to rewatch something, just slow down the video or rewind it. Now let's dive into it. We're going to go ahead and create a campaign right here. We're going to go to leads, and we're going to go continue. And we're going to go to manual leads campaign, continue. And all right, so we're going to name the campaign. We're going to call it Lead Gen November 14th. We're going to call it a fit and festive 28-day challenge. Wait a minute. So the campaign name doesn't need to be fancy. I've seen people do a million different little things. I just want to know, I'm generating leads. I started on November 14th. The theme of the challenge is fit and festive, and I'm targeting women specifically. You can also run ads to men, but just as a heads up, they usually cost twice as much per lead. Not always true, but as a rule of thumb, that's what I've seen across, over 50 ad accounts and all across the US and Canada, that women typically, the leads for women cost less. So that's what I would generally do if you're trying to maximize your ad spend. Now we're going to go down here and we're going to just poke around at this stuff. Say, okay, buying type auction, we're good on that. Okay, we want campaign budget off. Okay, so that looks good. Now we're going to go to the ad set level, and we're just going to create one. We're going to go red and blue. That's the title of the photo because I already know what picture I'm going to use. For the Facebook page, sure, we can do that. Obviously make sure that it is your gym's Facebook page. And we're going to go down here, we're going to do $10. Okay, and then we're going down, we're just really going to be diligent and come down here and make sure that there's not a bunch more stuff that Facebook's trying to turn on us. And the reason that these settings are chosen the way they are is because after spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on Facebook ads for gyms, these are the things that we've worked out work the best. So let's see, cool. So we're gonna go ahead and do the location first. So Canada, I'm gonna go ahead and come in here and I'm gonna type in my old gym. Boom, right there. So, and I'm gonna do a 3-mile radius. Now, you gotta know your area. If there's a bridge people don't cross, or a highway people don't cross, some kind of real or imaginary line they don't cross, then you want to make sure that you don't include it in your area. I have a lot of people so far in the audience size. Obviously, I haven't made any tweaks to that yet, but it's a big enough area. And for me, my gym's just on the edge of downtown. And so I'm gonna get people who are coming to and from downtown, traveling this way, or I'm going to get people who are in downtown that pop in for lunch workout and come back. So I know exactly who I'm targeting and why. This is definitely as big as I would personally want to go. Now, one of the things I would recommend doing is also adding zip codes. So you can come down here and you can do ad locations in bulk, and you can put in zip codes or postal codes, and you can start, type them in, etc. Come down here. These ones get kind of wonky. That's why I'm not showing you this, but I would certainly be entering in the zip codes in your area you want. You can also exclude zip codes. So you can do certain things, like you can drop a pin here and say, I'm going to do a 1-mile radius here. Oh, I didn't quite get it. So you're going to do let's say a 2-mile radius here. This is tough. All right, 2-mile radius, and so let's say I just don't like this little area here. We're going to drop another pin because that's a terrible example. So we're going to zoom in, we're going to delete that one. Okay, and then we're going to make this one the 2 mile radius. Okay, and so we're going to zoom in and say, yeah, that's great. This is maybe a little bit too far for people to go. I can just click on the pin, come down here, and click exclude. So that's, let's say you have a certain area of the city where it's too far for people to travel, or it's just not an area you're typically converting from. You can exclude, and that's how you do it. You can do the exact same thing with zip codes as well. Generally, it's not necessary for most people, but that is just an extra little pro tip on how you can do it. Cool, so that's the area. I'm happy with that. I'm going to move down, and I'm going to go to the age. So I'm going to go edit, and there's minimum age. Let's see. For us, it would be 25, but there's typically switch to original audience options is what I want. So I want to go original audience options, and I'm going to come back to the age section. Yep, cool. So I'm going to do 28 to 55, because that's about the age range of somebody that's going to be able to afford a CrossFit gym, right? Closer to their 30s, they're definitely a working professional with, you know, a career started, and typically we don't get a lot of folks over 50 or 55, so you could do something closer to 50 as well, but I do have some folks in their mid-50s, so I would leave it at 55, and then you're going to select women. For this particular ad campaign, you could also duplicate it and put it as men. Detail targeting, we're going to leave off all languages. Because I only speak English, I'm going to just leave it as English, which I would recommend. Now, as one tweak, you can come back here and you can add one additional interest to your audience, but honestly, I wouldn't recommend it because I think it just complicates things. For most people, that's like an optimization thing. When you're setting up ads, definitely just keep it simple, and that is plenty. Advantage placements. Let's go ahead and see show more options. Okay. Let's see here. I do not want advantage placements on, so I'm going to click edit and go to manual placements. Man, they were really trying to hide that. I'm going to hover over all devices and go to edit, and I'm going to go to mobile only. I only want to show this on mobile, and the reason that I'm checking what I'm checking is because this is what I found are where people convert from. So when I run a campaign and I run a report and I see where the actual leads came from, these placements are where they came from. So I'm going to go down here and just unselect basically all of them. Well, I want feeds. I just want the Facebook feed on. That's really all I want. You will get some conversions from Instagram, and so if you really want to do that, you certainly can. You can do Instagram feed as well, but I found it was over 80% of conversions were coming from Facebook. So if you want the best bang for your buck, then I'm going to go Facebook mobile, and I'm going to go Instagram feed. Cool. Let's see what the more options are. Those things are all good. So we've got our audience and our targeting area set up, and we're good to go. You can see just with those tweaks, I brought that number down substantially. Don't worry about that too much, but I generally do find somewhere in the 100,000 to 120,000 range to be good. But if you're in a densely populated city, that number's obviously going to spike. But let's say you're in New York City, and you're downtown. I don't know anything about New York. Let's say you're in, whatever busy area. You're in Manhattan. You're going to have like a mile radius. You're going to have something that's really small because it's so densely populated with people. Versus a city like Calgary definitely has a lot more space, a lot less lower population density. So now the way that this is set up, there are two ways that we can do this. By the way, is we're going to run one ad set per ad. So I know I'm going to spend $10 a day on this exact ad, and then I'm going to duplicate it, and I'm going to have 3 ads running. So it's going to be one campaign, 3 ad sets with one each in them. So it's going to be 3 ads running at the same time. The reason that I do this is because I know then I'm going to spend $10 a day without fail on each ad. If I put 3 ads in one ad set here, Facebook's going to decide where it wants to spend the budget based on which ad is performing well. So if you have one ad that's performing well, Facebook's just going to shove the budget toward that ad, meaning when you come back to monitor it, you're going to see that one ad's gotten a lot of the budget and the other ad or two have gotten very little of it. So it just doesn't make it as clean when it comes to testing ads. I prefer to do it this way because I know when I come back every few days to look at it, they've each gotten the same exact amount of budget, so I can find my winners or losers a little bit more cleanly and evenly because they run for the same amount of time under the same amount of budget. So hopefully that all makes sense. So now I'm going to go down to the ad level, and I'm going to call this also red blue, and we're going to come down here, and we're going to turn that off. Single image or video. Cool. We are going to add media. I already know what I want to add. I've got this in here. Cool. And we can crop this a little bit to make sure. There you go. So when you're looking for photos, you want things that look interesting. If everybody's wearing all black in a black gym, it's not going to stop anybody. So this is obviously a group of women who are doing something together. They're happy, they're smiling. No one's lifting anything. No one's doing any crazy movements. No one has a bleed or looks like they're going to crap their pants. It's just people standing in a gym that are smiling. This is attractive. This will get people to stop. That being said, whenever you run something, you don't necessarily know if it's going to hit or not. I'm going to turn all this stuff off. So be prepared to run a lot of ads before you find winners. When I was running ads for my gym personally, I would make 7 to 10 new ads a week and test them out. 10 is probably overkill, but 7 is certainly not. So you'd be creating this, duplicating it, and the main thing that I would be changing are the photos. Photos, videos, what the ad says, the copy, you're basically just going to leave. You might run 2 variations, but that's definitely it. So primary text, this is where you're going to insert your the headline that you want people to read. So I've got one here, and let's say it looks like that. Boom. So ladies in your local area. So you can do something like, Calgary ladies, this is your moment, 28-day fit and festive challenge. We're looking for 15 incredible women, et cetera, et cetera. So it's something like that. I mean, it really is. You probably have seen this before. It's not groundbreaking by any means. You know, ladies or men in your city, in your local area, time to get moving, whatever the call out is. This is your moment is what I've chosen with. And then here's the name of this, 6-week challenge, lean for Halloween, jacked for June, back to school boot camp, whatever it is. You can still run the same 28-day offer or 6-week offer, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. You're just changing the wrap around it for the season. So because it's November, Fit and Festive Challenge, 28 days. If you started today, it'd be mid-December. That's a great time for people to push into because we know that they're going to relax at the end of December. So I'd be really happy with that Fit and Festive Challenge. Cool. Headline. So I'm going to go 20-day Fit and Festive Challenge starts November 15th. Adding the actual start date of your program will increase the amount of people who opt in. So if it has a start date, great, put one. Now typically you're going to start people on a Monday. It's unlikely you're going to change your ads that often, but you could start 2 cohorts a month, or you could start 1 a month. I know one very successful bootcamp owner. She literally starts a bootcamp once every 6 weeks, fills it, turns the ads off, runs her bootcamp, and then does the next one. And she does great. So I know we want to sign people up all the time, but just even throwing a date in there and changing it twice a month for when you're going to start people will help people. They'll be more interested to click because there's more urgency because it actually has a start date instead of this thing that just runs forever, right? If you can get it any time, it's not as cool or desirable. If there's a limited amount of spaces for a limited amount of time, that moves people closer towards action, which of course we want. So coming down here, we're going to do a description of what it is. So we're not going to do a description here. Instead of sign up, we're going to do learn more. And then we're going to come down and you have to create a form. So you can create a form from scratch. I've got one down here already. So I'm just going to show you what that looks like. So what I would do is I would duplicate it because I want this to be specifically for the Fit and Festive Challenge. So duplicate, and then you can see. So I've given it a title. When we come in here, you've got your headline, you've got your challenge. So you know what? I am going to just go ahead and do one from scratch so it's simple. Okay, so create a form. Cool. So 28-day fit and tested November 15th. And nobody else sees this. This is just an internal title of the form so you can find it later. We're going to leave it on more volume. For intro, we're going to use the image from the ads. We're going to put in, I'm going to copy and paste that paragraph. So join us for our 28-day fit and festive challenge. Fit and festive challenge. Starts November 15th. Cool. So you've got that set for that part. You can always noodle with this a little bit. Honestly, it's one of the better things that you can do with ChatGPT. It's just say, hey, ChatGPT, please give me 5 versions of this or 10 versions of this description for a Facebook lead form ad. And it'll pop it out. So that's one of the best variations of it. It won't be perfect. You have to edit it, but it saves you some thinking. So questions, we want to go do add category, phone number. So we want to go full name, email, phone, and then enter a message. It says, we will use this info to reach out and say hi, right? Reach out to you, reach out and say hi, whatever it is. But we are good there. And I'm going to go down to privacy policies. So you're just going to want this to say privacy policy. And then you're going to add the link. So whatever your gym's privacy policy is, you need to add it. It should have one. You can just Google it basically and get it done. If you're using any version of Go High Level, it's really easy to do. You can just create a privacy policy and then a link. This gets messy. It is really easy, but just make sure that you're able to link a privacy policy. I personally would use my Go High Level. If you're not on Go High Level yet and you own a gym, you definitely should be. Makes your life a lot easier. But yeah, you need to link out to your privacy page. And then your message for leads is, let's see, what do we want to do? We'll say, thanks. Check out, you've got your info. Check out the link. Okay, your info. Here's, my goodness, your next step. All right, and then description, we are going to put basically link below, schedule time to apply for program. Cool, and then we can do, you can link out to your booking calendar directly, which is what I'd recommend. You can do book now, space is limited. And then you're going to put the link to your website or to your booking calendar. And then you go ahead and hit create form. And there you go. So I'm not going to save this form because I've already got one. And so this is the form that's attached to this. Now what you're going to do here is you're going to go in and you're going to click the 3 dots and click duplicate. And then you're going to hit 2 copies. And there you go. You have 2 copies. So all you need to do is, yes, you would rename them. You would come into this section here, remove the photo, add your next photo, and off you go. So I like this one because it is silly. Relevant comments. I'm going to turn this off. Cool. So this one's going to be my potato chip ad. Will it work? I have no idea. This isn't one that I've tested, but it might get people to stop because it looks real. And people can really tell the difference between like a glam ad and a real ad. So highly recommend you run something that looks real, that is appealing to average everyday humans. So they'll click and stop. And ultimately, the photo sells the first click into your ad to get somebody to stop. That's all you're trying to do. Get them to stop, sell the first click on the ad. What the ad says is selling the second click to the lead form, right? Has to be compelling enough. What the lead form says has to be, makes sense. It has to be congruent with the ad, right? Those two things have to match up. If what the ad says and what the lead form say don't match up, people are going to think this is bogus and they're not going to continue through. So what the lead form says also has to be convincing enough to get that person to hit submit and submit the details. Most people are not going to have the initiative to fill out that form or to book in an appointment. Some will do it, but these are cold leads, right? We've served them up an ad that's popped up in front of them, and so they're not nearly as motivated as somebody who searched you out, who's a warm or a hot lead. So don't be surprised when you don't get a lot of bookings. When the leads come in, that's when you want to call them as soon as possible. So just a quick rundown on what would be the best practice for lead nurture. Make sure that you have some kind of notification system. Again, if you're not on some version of Go High Level, you need to be, because it's a game changer back from, if you did this back in the day and you had like a Zaps with a Google Sheet and all this kind of clunky stuff work together, we can do a lot better now. So make sure you're getting notifications and then call as soon as possible. Within 5 minutes, always double dial, make sure you have a script and that you frame that conversation where you are the one who's in control and you want to book them an appointment, obviously within the next day or two. If you book out further than 48 hours, maybe 72 hours, 3 days basically, your show rates are going to go down dramatically. So you're trying to do either today, tomorrow, or maybe the next day. If they can't come within that period, you put them on a list and you call them back next Monday because they're probably not going to show up. So anyway, that's basically the rundown. That's exactly how you build ads. That's the rundown on a bit of lead nurture as well. So check the link in the description below, and I'm going to include the swipe file for you. So the swipe file has some copy that you can steal, and it's got some images you can steal to get you started. I'd highly recommend you go to your own Facebook page or Instagram page and look for colorful, interesting, weird photos that you can use and try out, because you're going to need a lot of them. Don't do things that look like people are struggling really hard, they're doing complex movements, they're in pain, or they're all black or they're camouflage looking, because that's boring. So I'd highly recommend that. So click the link below to get access to the swipe file, and when you run ads, just make sure that you know it's going to take you a few months to figure this out, because it's not the easiest thing in the world, but if you get it right, it's definitely worth it. All right, go do it.